Firstly, condolences to the family of security officers and civilians that lost their life. That day was a very sad day. It be a very unfortunate day. For let we they see any we told me they see any on that day. Because I think say some of them pictures and videos and all they see it was like 20 years ago. And it be even more disturbing when you look at the international media where them begin go back to what him in the video in the conflicts. Then they're not being very encouraging at all. But why should they look at what happened on that day? As the intro they say, we they look at how we need for go forward. We get for it just like when we been get the word they say antecedents to the conflict. Waiting the issue here will lead to waiting happen so. Waiting we been for don't do for manage and better. And even when the incidents them in the be or when the protest or riots start, waiting we been for don't do for make reach them points then they. Any good way they get this conversation, any good way they get this debate, any good that we need for engage. People then they say, no, we don't need for dialogue. Good how they dialogue with. We need to have a dialogue. And like what do they get within this forum? It's a dialogue. We need to get a conversation. Waiting really happen. Waiting we all miss. Not only the security sector, civil society, religious bodies, every part of the country, every sector of the society. Waiting we miss where we degenerate to that level there. It's very important that we have a debate, we get a discussion, so that we not go see waiting we see so again, because it's very sad, it's very unfortunate. You they see a lot of young boys. My son who I get is going to be 20, and a bunch of them young man they I see some of them like age group. And I begin wonder, said, yeah, where the mama them of them picking there? Where the sister there? Where the granny there? Where the papa them, where the grandpa them. It's sad that we get a young population where we need for guide more. Now make us say we need for ask ourselves why we reach to that stage there. Is it that we don't miss out on something? We need for guide them more. We need for ask questions. We need for see, because some of you in the next 30, 40 years then get for the old way and for go see them.
Valnora, I just make mention of a very important point. Which you say, what we miss as a nation, we make we reach so August 10th. In conflict prevention, you get what you call early warning signs. And some of the early warning signs there, they be done the show salon, because even before the August 10th demonstration, rumors, or let me say voice messages, videos be done they go on social media. Also people they complain about several things them. One gets for do with the economic hardship, the other one gets for do with cost of living and human rights violation, where then people are alleged to they happen in the country. As a nation, what do we don't do with all the early warning signs here?
So Naimeka say we also need for look at the antecedents, and we also get a debate and a dialogue. Because yes, over time, a lot of issues they don't come up. And at that make the zeroing on the issue about like the one they want me they see. There are some people where they say, oh, these people are faceless. Oh, then this no, they are Sierra Leoneans. We saw them on the video. We see say young people and they again where they on drugs. We get for ask ourselves how are they getting access to these drugs? We get state institution they will suppose for manage those things. So there have been definitely and why we also need forget the dialogue, there are governance issues, and are the governance issues they highlight so. There have been over time a series of concerns about cost of living, about livelihood, about the political system, about feeling included, about this division. You get conversation, it's all about an SLPP APC division. It's all about the north and the south. And some of we get very worried that that's not how you discuss governance. There's a time for partisan politics, and there is a time for governance. Sure. And we'll get for focus on governance. And left them thing they are so, like what they highlight, so where they bring divisions. And when they're concerned they are come, we need for address. I will not for beginning say, oh, this person will raise now opposition. Oh, Usai come out. Address them.
So the issue of livelihood challenge and other things we people we don't raise for a long time for say things are not affordable. Even if they're affordable, they're very costly. And all that things put together, you think that enough reason for let some people take up on the street on waiting they do Augustine exactly for say they want vent out the anger and raising concern?
So based on the videos we me see, you had a whole bunch of different groups of people. And you see some then they peacefully, some people they hold placard, they write down some of the things that will be the issue. You see some people then they in a very gruesome manner they kill police officers. You see some pictures where they see armed personnel, then they shoot at people that will not be armed at all. So an analysis of that, and I'm hopeful that the investigation go able to look at those different things and be able to come to a good conclusion. Again, we go be helpful for the country. That's in the midst of maybe genuine people, the way they say, okay, this time an issue, things spill out of hands. And how that thing they move from a protest to a riot, now that's why we really get for zeroing. Because how we explode within that short period of time there is too fast.
All right, we continue with the program Good Morning Salone, where they come to you from the Society for Radio Democracy 98.1 FM. Where they come back in the studio as we still get Honorable Alhaji Alpha Kano, where the presidential spokesman, and also we get a human rights and good governance campaigner, Valnora Edwin. Today in the program, we look at President's bill in speech, and we go back to some of the things that were being caused the August 10th demonstration. Outside security personnel and ordinary citizens then report say they be lost their life them. When they come back to you, Valnora, earlier I asked the same question to the presidential spokesman before we can look at President's bill in speech proper. Certain set of the citizens then be done they call on the president, say it's time for let it come out and address the nation on some certain issues the way citizens them been say they're not satisfied with. And over the weekend, Friday, we saw the president be address the nation. This address where President Bill make to the nation is timely and is able for address all the issues them where the citizens expect and say for talk about.
Well, the address where President gave at that time, you could say based on what happened the week before, it's timely. But genuinely, over time, some of the challenges the way I do agree that President who can they talk every now and then, they talk every now and then. But when there is a context when the citizens there say we want a reform, we president, we want let it talk to we they say Mama Salone and Papa government, and by virtue of the position as the leader of the state, the leader of the government. Even when we deal with small office and organization, there are times there is a context where you get layers of responsibility. Different people then go come. But they reach a point and say, the boss, the mommy or the pa, instead 1 year reform. Because sometimes another person they then trust more, another person they go able to give a bit more reassurance, another person they then think, say, okay, the buck stops with you. So you need for come and take that responsibility there as the head or the leader for engage with.
You hold the belief say the president for don't talk before now.
So prior to waiting me don't be so, I mean for fine if we don't get a discussion, it don't talk to we like Papa of the nation. It good again when this incident be that he come again as the head of state and talk to we. But sometimes if you don't talk to we earlier, waiting de-escalate so no go don't happen. Or even if people are still, because people they still get right, if you say are not comfortable with this, probably police response would have been better managed, and people are not being for them, civilians are not being for don't be so aggressive and do all that thing and the way they do. So we the hope say that moving forward, and that is why we need a dialogue, timing. When we all there in leadership, timing for intervene, for ensure say when small thing don't they brew, we try for coming. Timing very key, and we need for get that leadership skill there for no say, regardless of Uda, no say no this now opposition, this come on north, this come on south, this now east. You begin dismiss. We are all Sierra Leoneans, and if however small that minority of Sierra Leoneans they get something where they monitor them, the leaders, whether from the community level to the highest level, get for sit down and get a dialogue and engage and communicate with them. That is why I doff my hat to the Deputy Minister Jamiu, when he give that audio, they will we all the share. Now that kind of conversation dey. And when we talk again about, again, not just the president's speech, we dey see social media, a lot of people then they send audio, again, we're not helpful for the country.
Okay.
We might want to question, is there a void? Is there a gap in communication, in a conversation, where then people here where they send a negative audio, yeah, they feel, and a counter one, therefore be developed.
So the same question quickly, Sapti, the same question, Miss Edwin, let ask you back. You think save gap there in communication between the people and the government?
We therefore improve on them. And improve on them meaning, in as much as this Thursday weekly, different radio station avenues, then there's a social media platform where people they don't capitalize on, they give very negative. So we also therefore look at that there is a gap. There is definitely a gap, because for let them people and they talk and it gets so much impact on certain sets of the society. We need for a work with communication strategy and see how they build a stronger force. We go give more enlightened and progressive information. We will not go degenerate so.
Okay, continue for deal with Valnora Edwin in name and in a human rights and good governance campaign. Now we look at the August 10 incident and also President Bill in speech we make August 12 and the way forward for make the country maintain peace and democracy.
And now they talk to Valnora Edwin, we in a human rights and good governance campaigner. Ms. Edwin, would they look at some of the things them way President Bill been talk inside in address where it will make for sake of the August 10th demonstration. And some of the things that we talk about now that is say governments go conduct an investigation for know the people out there and they pan this particular incident where we happen on the 10th of August and the law will take in course. And most people don't they look back on certain investigations where governments don't they see then they conduct, for example, the Padeba Road incident, the McKinney incident, and all them things there are on a pending investigation then. And this one again, the president said they do investigation. And during the same speech, the president been point finger on some members of the opposition where in belief say they and then they pan this. If president on the point finger now on the opposition, what do you think say will be the outcome of the said investigation?
Well, now the tricky part come. Because if there's already a perception or an allegation by the first gentleman on a particular set of people, definitely the investigation will be conducted, therefore be geared towards that, for qualify, say yes, what he say was right. So listening to it, it was an interesting bit. And it go back to the point of if the intelligence provided to His Excellency the President was these people, how they not be able, as an early warning, like, okay, we don't know, we don't even identify them. Wait to make measures they not been there in place for really go further for find out who that them be, so that we can, or them if for stop them or try for manage the situation better. So it's going to be a bit complicated, really, on waiting the investigation go come pull, because it go look really bad for let the investigation come pull. Otherwise, like, yes, people then do them thing they are, but probably not necessarily this category of people. So it been for fine for let we wait, let an independent, trusted body be established, we can able to identify who are them people there. Because we don't mention, say, the social media is being used negatively. Anybody can come and say, me na this person, me na that person, and say a lot of things. But investigation going further, we're able to prove whether them people are now older than say them be or not older than say them be.
So in line with the issue of, say, the president already they make assumption, where you look back already, we don't get a particular evidence of a particular individual, like a particular political party. We don't make insightful and tribal statements. You know, things like that are some of the reasons they'll make the president go in line of such example inside in speech.
So there have been some incidents where certain statements then really where some people are not been for make. They help the context. But if there's an investigation going to be made, they will not prejudice the investigation. Allow the independent body for come out with their findings and give them recommendations, and we can work along those lines.
This president in statement where he make just after the August 10 and then the 12, he make a national broadcast for address the people. Do you think they speak to peace and national cohesion?
A good number of the things and the way he talk about, we resonate with, condemning the violence, for make people way for both the killings of the civilians and the killing of the security forces. I see there was a lot of more emphasis on the security forces, passing reference on civilians, but I think the same emphasis on how civilians die, how security personnel die for day. Talking about there should, which we get right for exercise, for get peaceful protest, it's a right, but we get for be guided by law. We resonate with all those things, but I think there should have been some specific, it's an added thing where even for fine for lady, a specific message to young people. Because where we see all waiting they be, and this not the only incident, we don't give references to so many incidents. I don't be a consultant. We look at incidents. We be in Makeni, in Lonsa, in Kamakwe, even the Pademba Road. Ask people the way they around don't do. It involves always these young men. It involves the security forces, especially the police. So there would have been a special message, say young people, and just like what we all they say, let us use you for do the wrong thing. Let somebody not incite you. Let us not they outside salon. Tell you, say, go make so. And encourage and motivate. Because we also get for ask ourselves, people and they say, oh, they are so gullible. Why? If me sit on here, you can't tell me, hey, if you know waiting. I know I'm able for use me sense and able for analyze. And if I'm not already agitated over that thing the way you can't tell me, I go treat them calmly. But if I don't agitated over that thing the way they can't tell me for do, then I go join you and do the wrong thing. So there should have been some key message to young men in particular.
With all the things where they happen now, youths them they take the streets, then they get some confrontation with security personnel them, and several other things them where they happen along the way with our politician them, then they treat themselves for a country where they prepare for go into elections. You think say all intention is so necessary now and waiting government and other political parties then supposed for do at this point?
It's a very worrying trend. And it just they show how cheap we they make with politics. Because really and truly, tribalism not in a salon. We so mingle when you go in countries or places there where tribalism they. Like we not go kind of this radio station in as much as we say, oh, na civil society owner. But if the manager, if tribalism really sit down, if the manager not been come on or not always sit down and not to form your own ethnic group, I know they can't hold the conversation.
Okay.
Then they call tribalism. But when you see how many intermarriage they be, you see how they mingle, the school they where they go, the school there where we picking them they go, the church there, mosque there where they go, the side where they buy. All of that, they should say tribalism, no, they. So politicians then get for stop for play that cheap politics day and therefore use people there on social media again for attack and cause. We can get difference in opinion, but you know get for begin even civil society colleagues, journalists, then they attack them where then get them view. You can disagree with people. So as we they approach elections, political leaders then get for be responsible. The conversation for be how you get for can make that social contract, which is the governance thing that we will talk about. How you get for improve the economy, how you get for improve security situation, the issue of gender, of youth, of making sure we all safe, improving the economy, giving job opportunities, skills, education. That is what the social contract is all about. And at that kind of conversation, the political leaders then for do and stop for give drugs, stop for give weapons, and stop for misinform young men where unfortunately, they seem lost at the moment, and we all get a responsibility for draw them back and no say they get skills, they get capacity, and can contribute to the development of the country.
As a nation, with all waiting to happen the whole of last week, and now calmness don't they return back. Citizens they don't begin go about their normal business. The way forward. Talk to salon people and quickly in 1 minute.
I get for the past 1 minute. So I think I just want appeal to me salon people and say we dey condemn all forms of violence. And I think mechanisms and they will get for try for test and use mechanisms from the local level to the upper level when we get issues them of concern. To public officials and to the government, it's about opening the space a bit more. It's about building the trust level. It's about for less Sierra Leoneans then feel a bit more inclusive. And that not means say things are not being done, but when incidents of the nature they are come, finally we go back. And that's why they say a dialogue. The dialogue on different sectors of society, even we as civil society, human rights defenders, we get for go back and look, say, what we miss, what we can do for make sure, say, what be so, it not be. Political parties themselves need for sidom. And going back, where they talk about investigation and violence, in 2011, I've said it several times in this forum, that for the young people, one of the recommendations in 2011, where the current president was stoned, and then they burn an APC office in Bo. We were there for 3 weeks, where they set up a panel. Again, the recommendation was handed in, and that's in our common. And one of the things that we always they resonate in the conversation here is how do you ensure young men, young people then get for understand what is democracy, how them process they work, how governance they work. It's not about partisan politics. When you educate people, they get information, it is able to make more informed decision. And when we say how do you do counter social media outside the legislation, then the counter social media is civic education. The counter social media are voices, words, and things then where they bring cohesion. Right. So it good for let we continue with them dialogue. We want big people them salon. We salon people the way they outside salon. Do ya let we not inside we safe. Right. We can disagree. Let we left for cause we self. Let we left for say them thing the way not correct. Let we left for accuse people then say them partisan. Then they pay them from government, then this, then that, way they're not correct. Let we left for threatening people there. Let we say those things, then we can make salon move forward. Salon go get a good name. Salon economy go grow. And sometimes even people the way they out, because I for let them better make them they out. Right. Then go able for come back na salon.
Thank you very much, Valnora Edwin, Human Rights and Good Governance campaigner, for joining at the program this morning as we analyze His Excellency the President in speech we make after the August 10th demonstration.